like the loss of sunlight on a cloudy afternoon.
Good morning. Gone too soon. Outside, hundreds of thousands throng the streets of Los Angeles just to be close.
We all love you, Michael, and we all miss you.
Inside, musical legends from Stevie Wonder to Smokey Robinson join the golden voices of Mariah Carey and Jennifer Hudson and more for a star-studded memorial to a sometimes troubled soul, known forever as the King of Pop. And we're here for it all, live at the Staples Center, remembering Michael Jackson, today, Tuesday, July 7th, 2009.
From NBC News, this is a special edition of Today, Remembering Michael Jackson, with Matt Lauer, live from Studio 1A in Rockefeller Plaza, and Meredith Vieira, live from the Staples Center in Los Angeles, California.
And welcome to a special edition of Today on this Tuesday morning. I'm Meredith Vieira outside the Staples Center in Los Angeles. Good morning to you, Matt.
Hey, Meredith, good morning to you. I'm Matt Lauer here in New York, and the stage is set for what is probably going to be the biggest celebrity memorial ever. And Meredith, just give me a sense, how are they handling security for this?
There are an awful lot of police here. I arrived about an hour ago, which would have been 3 a.m. LA time. A lot of police checking to make sure that everybody that enters the perimeter has a right to be here. I can show you, Matt, I've got a blue wristband on. That means I'm a member of the media. The gold wristband here allows me access to the memorial service later today. I'm also going to have a ticket in order to get in. Gives you an idea of the security. A lot of things have been happening late last night and early this morning, including members of Jackson's family, including his sister LaToya. They were seen entering and leaving the Forest Lawn Cemetery, where a private service is being held ahead of today's public memorial. And now there are reports that following that service, the casket holding Michael Jackson's body will be brought here to the Staples Center to take center stage during the memorial. Now, if that happens, crowd control could become an even bigger issue. Overnight, police locked down the streets surrounding the arena, and at least 1,400 officers are patrolling the area. But despite the call for people without tickets to stay away, some estimate as many as 700,000 people may come out this morning. We've also received a list of the stars who will take part in the service, including, as we mentioned, Stevie Wonder and Mariah Carey, along with Motown Records founder Berry Gordy, Usher, Brooke Shields, and many others. And that we're going to have it all covered throughout the morning. And in a moment, the Jackson family spokesperson, the man who helped organize the event, will be with us, and we're going to ask him about those reports that Jackson's body will indeed be a part of today's tribute, Matt.
All right, we'll get to that in just a second. Meredith, thanks very much. Also this morning, in other news, Sarah Palin speaks out for the first time since announcing her plans to step down as the governor of Alaska. She gave NBC's Andrea Mitchell extraordinary access during a fishing trip in a remote corner of her state, and the two talked about what led to Palin's decision to resign, where she goes from here, and if a White House run is in her future. We're going to hear from Governor Palin in a moment, Meredith.
All right, Matt, but we're going to begin with the final preparations here in Los Angeles for today's elaborate memorial for Michael Jackson. It is a worldwide event expected to be watched live by 1 billion people. Set in the Hollywood Hills, Forest Lawn is the burial place of stars like Betty Davis, Lucille Ball, and more recently, John Ritter. Today, the world is watching the Staples Center in downtown Los Angeles, where one of the biggest public memorials in history is set to begin.
I'm not sure in our lifetimes we'll ever see anything like this again.
So give us a preview of what we're going to see.
Mariah Carey, and you have Lionel, and you have John Mayer, and you have Smokey, and you have the wonderful performers that are going to be in here. I just heard one number, and it was pretty spectacular.
Home to sporting events and concerts, today the center will play host to over 11,000 Michael Jackson fans and members of his family. His brothers will be performing, or his sister?
I think you're going to see one or two of the family perform. So this will be very emotional. I can promise you that.
Jermaine Jackson is said to be ready to perform one of his favorite songs that his brother recorded, a song Jermaine sang for Matt.
Smile, though your heart is aching. Smile, even though...
One person who will not be attending is the mother of Jackson's two oldest children, Debbie Rowe.
Do not touch me!
Who says she does not want to be an unnecessary distraction to an event focused on Michael's legacy.
Don't touch me!
Longtime Jackson friend Elizabeth Taylor wrote on her Twitter page, "I just don't believe that Michael would want me to share my grief with millions of others. How I feel is between us, not a public event." Several members of the Jackson family have had different ideas over how to remember the superstar, and sources say details about the program will be changing up until showtime.
We all have our own memories of him.
Susan Blond, a former friend of Jackson's who will be attending, says it will be a day filled with mixed emotions.
This is going to be very sad, and then moments of, this is very exciting. I'm not supposed to feel that excited right now.
Worried about overexcited masses of fans, police continue to encourage everyone without a ticket to stay home. But it hasn't stopped thousands of fans from signing this makeshift memorial outside of Staples Center. In fact, they're on their third sign, as you can see, because so many people have wanted to express their thoughts. While authorities here say they expect crowds of up to 750,000, organizers say more than 1 billion people will be watching on television, in movie theaters, and online.
I will tell you, I'll be peeking and looking online. I know it's going to be everywhere. I told my boss I'm going to look.
Joy Nestor didn't get a ticket to the Staples Center, but says she will be remembering Michael at work and at home.
The flashbacks I have are him being on tour when I was a kid and people going nuts, akin to the footage that they play of the Beatles or people with Elvis. And, you know, for my generation, you know, he's as close as we got to that.
Meanwhile, in court, the legal wrangling over Jackson's multi-million-dollar estate has begun.
The latest will is the effective wishes of the decedent, the person that's died.
On Monday, a Los Angeles judge handed temporary control of the superstar's estate to the lawyer and music industry executive named as co-executors in Jackson's 2002 will. A defeat for Jackson's mother, Catherine, who had applied to oversee her son's estate, but keeps custody of his 3 children. Ken Sunshine was hired by the Jackson family to serve as their spokesperson and to help organize this unprecedented event. Ken, good morning to you.
Good morning, Mary.
We heard that there was a private viewing of the body last night at Forest Lawn, a private service this morning, and then we are hearing that Michael's casket will be brought here to Staples Center for the public memorial. What can you confirm for us, Ken, this morning?
You know, we've been foolproof about not confirming or not speaking publicly about any of the private events that may or may not be occurring vis-a-vis Michael's death. Yeah, this is a family that has shown extraordinary dignity, and it will be an extraordinary event.
Ken Sunshine, thank you so much. Pleasure to see you here this morning. I want to turn now to Reverend Al Sharpton, who's going to eulogize Michael Jackson at today's memorial. He is with us now exclusively. Reverend Sharpton, good morning to you.
Good morning.
I know you have been with the family quite a bit since the loss of Michael. How are they doing? This has got to be for them a joyous day in some ways and a very difficult day in others.
Well, it's been very difficult. It is heartbreaking for them, but they seem determined to give Michael the kind of dignity and to protect his legacy. And myself and others that will speak today and will perform today are speaking to what they want, and that is that Michael was about love and about uniting and bringing people past their racial and nationality differences and religious differences. They are very particular about how they want him remembered, even as they grieve at this hour in their loss.
On Sunday, you delivered a sermon at a church, and you were pretty tough on the Reverend Sharpton.
Thank you.
So much for your time this morning. And we'll have much more throughout the morning. And NBC News will have live coverage of today's memorial, anchored by Brian Williams. That's going to begin at 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific time. And of course, Dateline will have a complete wrap-up of Farewell to Michael Jackson. That is tonight at 10, 9 Central Time. Now we're going to go back to New York. And Matt.
All right, Meredith, thank you very much. Now to President Obama's high-stakes trip to Russia. The president addressed a group of college students overnight and said both Washington and Moscow have an obligation to seek a nuclear-free world. NBC's chief White House correspondent Chuck Todd is traveling with the president and sat down with him earlier this morning. Chuck, good morning to you.
Good morning, Matt. Well, we discussed a wide range of issues, but we began with the president's measure of the man many people believe is pulling the strings behind this Russian political curtain. President Obama's final day in Moscow began with his first ever meeting with the man many consider the true power here, Prime Minister Vladimir Putin. But Mr. Obama was measured in his assessment.
He is strong, He cares deeply about Russia. He has understandable concerns about Russia's role in the world, and he has suspicions about the United States. And I found him to have a practical bent. I suspect Prime Minister Putin would completely agree on is that he's not sentimental about how he views the world.
He also again demonstrated confusion about Putin's title.
This morning, I had my first meeting with President Putin, Prime Minister Putin.
And you've done that 3 times,
yeah.
a few times.
Yeah. Well, yeah, he used to be
Freudian
president.
or not Freudian?
No, I don't think it's Freudian. He used to be president, and so.
The president put a fine point on the role he thinks Russia can play in helping prevent Iran from developing nuclear weapons.
One of the things that we're going to need to explore jointly over the next several months is can we provide a door for Iran to walk through where they say that we are not going to develop a nuclear weapon.
Do you think you still have some work to do now?
We definitely have some diplomatic work to do.
The president took minor issue with Vice President Biden's characterization of his administration's initial economic assessment as a misread.
No.
This was just a misread?
No, well I would actually, rather than say misread, we had incomplete information. What I would say is that in some areas you're seeing the economic engine turn. But what we always knew was that A, this recession was going to be deep, B, it was going to last for a while.
He also weighed in on the 2 stories that have captured America's attention in recent days. On Sarah Palin's unexpected decision to resign the Alaska governorship.
She has a fiercely loyal constituency within the Republican Party and in the conservative movement. She says that this is something that is best for her family, and I respect that.
And Michael Jackson's role in breaking racial barriers.
What I do believe is that black sports figures and black entertainers helped to create a comfort level with African Americans that had an impact historically.
The rest of the day here is ceremonial, Matt. Tomorrow, the president is off to Italy, where he will have a meeting of the G8 industrial nations and then an audience with the Pope. All right, Chuck Todd, thank you very much. We appreciate that. And now to Sarah Palin's interview with NBC's Andrea Mitchell. For the first time since dropping that bombshell that she's resigning, the Alaska governor is speaking out about her decision.
The choice I had to make was, okay, how am I going to react to the circumstances, to the changed conditions? Am I going to just keep plugging away and keep my head down and not try to affect any more change? Because every time we do something, we get hit with, an ethics violation charge or a lawsuit, because that's the political game that's being played right now, even though we won every single one of them that's been thrown our way. But my choice in how to react to these circumstances, my choice has been, I'm willing to not run again for re-election. I'm willing to step aside.
We're going to have much more of Andrea's interview with Governor Palin coming up in our next half hour. But for now, let's get a check of the rest of the morning's top stories from Natalie Morales, who's in for Ann at the news desk. Natalie, good morning to you.
And good morning to you, Matt, and good morning, everyone. And there's a sense of relief this morning in Gaffney, South Carolina, following the death of what police say was a serial killer. 41-year-old Patrick Burris was killed Monday in a shootout with police in North Carolina. Ballistics tests show that his gun matched the one used to kill 5 people around Gaffney in recent days. A party reprimand for South Carolina Governor Mark Sanford. On Monday, his state's Republican Party censored Sanford for what it called a breach of the public's trust for leaving South Carolina last month on a secret trip to Argentina to see his mistress. 7 U.S. troops were killed Monday in attacks in Afghanistan in one of the deadliest days since the war began there. Hundreds of women protested today in western China, angry that their husbands had been arrested during ethnic unrest that has left more than 150 people dead. There is now a curfew there. 6 weeks after he announced his wife was diagnosed with breast cancer, golfer Phil Mickelson says his mother now has the disease too. His mother will have surgery Friday at the same hospital where Amy Mickelson had her surgery. Today, Democrat Al Franken will be sworn in as Minnesota's junior senator. He'll serve on the Senate Judiciary Committee, which opens hearings next week on Supreme Court nominee Sonia Sotomayor. And it is that time of year once again. The running of the bulls got underway today in Pamplona, Spain. 4 people were hospitalized with bumps and bruises. One runner called it pretty intense. I think we'll take his word for it. It is now 7:20 right now. You're up to date. Let's turn it back over to Matt and Stephanie Abrams.
Yeah, Al Roker and I do these buddy things all the time.
Absolutely.
I'm going to suggest
You're
that
gonna
Al do that. No, not me, Al. I'm going to see if Al wants to do that.
I thought it was a buddy thing.
No, it's a buddy. The buddy thing only goes so far. All right, Natalie, thanks very much. Al is off today. Stephanie Abrams is here with a first look at the forecast. Hey, Steph.
Maybe he's getting ready, prepping now for the running of the bulls.
He's in training.
There you go. All right, let's have a look at what's happening right now across the country. And it looks like there is a threat for severe weather throughout portions of the Northeast and through the plains of Southeast. It means more rain for you yet again today. Now let's have a look at what's happening outside your door.
All right, Stephanie, thank you very much. Coming up, much more from New York and Los Angeles as the world prepares to say goodbye to Michael Jackson. Will he eventually be laid to rest at Neverland? How is his mother holding up? An exclusive interview with Jackson's longtime manager just ahead. But first, this is Today on NBC.
Between us, if you just hold